Minasan, Akari Nasai. Last time I mentioned everything that went on in Love Live in 2022. This time I will talk about all the Seiyuu. If I do not mention a Seiyuu, it is because there was nothing of note or everything they did is really difficult for us foreigners to access. Also, some Seiyuu will have like 1 or 2 things, while others might have 5 or more. I'll mostly cover new anime roles, CDs, lives, photo books, and stuff like that. Even with the anime roles, I may miss some since I'll be using my anime list as a reference and trying to check their Twitters. Since there are so many Love Live Seiyuu, I'm bound to miss a role or 2. Also, sometimes the girls do events together, so instead of mentioning the same thing 2 or 3 times, I'll just mention it once with 1 Seiyuu per group. So with that out of the way, let's begin. First, the Muse girls, Asumi Tano, Hinata Sato, Moika Koizumi, and Kaori Maeda. The agency had a whole album release featuring songs from each of the Seiyuu. They had a huge festival, and then they announced a new fest for spring of 2023. Next up, the Cros Sing YouTube channel opened, which has Seiyuu on it singing anime openings. This year, we had Aguri Onishi and Yurika Kubo. Next season will feature Nanaka Suwa, Akari Kito, and Suzuko Momori. Actually, Akari's episode is already out, and it's actually her 2nd time being on the channel. I didn't realize there was a 1st episode with her already. Many other Seiyuu are also on the show as well, but I just mentioned the Love Live girls. Definitely check it out and keep your eye on it in the future. If you have trouble finding it, just type in Cros Sing Aguri Onishi. The next thing is very similar, another Anisong related show, but this one is also a talk show as well as having the Seiyuu choosing a song to sing. Masayoshi Oishi and Airi Suzuki's Anisong cover show. This year, they had Sora, Emitsun, Pyle, Shuka, and Hinata. Oh, and Miyutan. Kind of forgot about her. Oops. The Kyoto Premium Live happened just recently, which had King, Shuka, Uchi, Nanjo, and Nacheri. In the summer, there was the Second Shot Fest, which was going to have Akari and Aguri, but both of them got COVID. The last thing to mention is the Joyu project, which I'm still not really sure what it is, but it's some cool warrior photo shoot that had Hinata, Anju, and Shika. So now let's start off with Muse, and specifically Rihoida. Ripi announced her marriage on January 1st. As for who it is, well, it's a secret non-entertainment industry man, and she only had 1 new role, that being Akari Toto in World's End Harem. She also had a calendar book released this year and reprised her roles in Jashin and Odd Taxi. She was at the Diamond Fest in January and the Nagano Eniera Festa in September. Her and a bunch of other Seiyuu, including fellow Muse ladies Emitsun and Pyle, were part of the non-fest Halloween event. Her and Emi actually spent a lot of time together this year at various smaller events. Sora Tokui actually had a very busy year, but most of the stuff is really small one-day events or small cons that are pretty inaccessible to us outside of Japan. She reprised her roles in Princess Connect and Kaginado, which I am now just discovering. Dude, how the hell did I miss this? It's like Isekai Quartet, but with all the depressing shows. Like Clannad, Angel Beats, and Little Busters. I definitely gotta check this out. She also debuted into season 4 of Yatogame-chan as Kei. Her alongside Shika were at the Anime Japan Festival, dressed up as something, I don't know what, but it looks really good. There was a pretty big pre-chan event in September, and Sora was there. There was also like 4 Pretty Derby events this year, but I'll just mention that she was part of their performance at Anisama, and they had a live in November. Just a few days after that, she was at the Bushy Road 15th anniversary event, performing with Milky Homes. She was at the World Cosplay Summit, celebrating its 20th anniversary, and she was dressed up as Asuka Langley. And finally, the cast of Is This the Order of the Rabbit had a Rabbit House event early in the year. Next year, she will have another season of Pretty Derby, and at some point, probably next year as well, she will be in a show called My One Hit Kill Sister. It is an isekai, because of course it is, and she will voice Gloria. As far as I can tell, Emi only had 1 new role, but it was a lead. Sarina Akasaka in Iridori Midori, and then she reprised her role in Princess Connect Redive. But she had herself a first mini-album, Tiny Steps, also releasing a music video for the song Barefoot Symphony, which will be on the album. She had a fan meet in April, a live show in August, and will have a calendar book next year. I am weak to those twin tails. Time for Uchi-chan. She was in Season 3 of Adolescence of a Bookworm, the final season of Magia Record, and To Your Eternity Season 2, which if you haven't watched, you probably should. 2 new roles would be Isana in RPG Real Estate and Shenhua in Engage Kiss. She had a bunch of pre-para events that also featured fellow Muse stars Sora and Ripi. She had her 5+2 anniversary live. I don't know why it's 5+2 instead of 7, but she was also part of the same live concert that Emi was in August. Next year, she will be Izumi in a new season of the Ito Junji Collection, which is a series of short horror stories. And she will have a calendar book as well. I might actually have to grab this one. Momori One-chan probably had the most important year of her life. Well, aside from the year that she debuted into Love Live. Oh, and the year she got married, of course. First, let's talk about anime, reprising her roles in Odd Taxi and Date Alive, having a few leads in new shows, Jaime in the 500 million yen button, Gamma in Shadow Garden and its spin-off Chibi version, a supporting role of Kate in Romantic Killer, which has a pretty high rating, might have to check this one out. Next year, she'll be in the new season of Masamune-kun's Revenge, And at some point in the future, probably next year, though no confirmed date, she will reprise her role in the Gridman universe. She performed with both Starlight Kukugumi and Milky Holmes for the first time in many years at the Bushiroad 15th anniversary event. And finally, for the most important thing, she gave birth to a baby boy in August. It hasn't been confirmed whether she'll be there or not, but Revue Starlight is having a new stage in February, and she should hopefully be there. Yoshino Nanjo surprisingly didn't have as much going on as I thought she would. She had a new season of Yatogame-chan, a new role in a short series Hanabi-chan voicing Tsubasa. She sang the ending theme for the Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt, her 11th single, Hitoriko Kimito. She alongside Shika were guests in the My Girl Festival, which is the same My Girl that publishes the magazine you always see your favorite Seiyuu in. She had a fan club event where I think she played some acoustic stuff for everyone. She was part of the Lisa Annie Fest, and her 5th album, Journey's Drunk, came out, released with a music video. Also, I'll just toss this in, though it happened in October of 2021. If you didn't already know, she is no longer part of Ripside. Next year, she'll be in new seasons of Miss Nagatoro and The Fruit of Evolution. Pyle had her first album release in like 4 years. Her 5th album, Gate. She did have some events, mostly overseas in Taiwan, Korea, and other Asian countries, but nothing us Westerners can really access, aside from the Spacey Music 2-man live show that she had with Emmy in April. But she did hang out with Hashi on Halloween. That was cool. Shoutouts to Harry Potter. Aina Kusuda unfortunately did not have anything going on this year, or she just doesn't update her social media. Could be both, honestly, but this year was her 7th anniversary as a solo singer. And now the final Muse girl, Yurika Kubo. A really good year for her. First reprising her roles in Danmachi and Classroom of the Elite. I actually just finished that season 2 very recently. I love her character so much. New roles would include My Isekai Life as Lily, and in Legend of Mana as Cactus. Nice. Though not having a calendar book of her own, she was featured in her agency's calendar book. Unfortunately, she did have to take a brief hiatus in November due to poor health, but before that she had an Onsen Misune event. That's just great. Though she did start this last year, she has been very active on her YouTube channel this year, posting a wide variety of content. Her personal channel, by the way, is different than her music one. The name is in Japanese, but if you type in Yurika Kubo Crash Bandicoot, you'll see a video from her personal channel. I'm sure you can imagine what game she's playing in said video. Oh, and very recently, she was part of the LTA fashion collab. I'll talk about that more a little bit later. Twice, in fact. Next year, she'll reprise her role in The Fruit of Evolution and have a new role of Marguerite in The Legendary Hero is Dead. Not sure if that's an anime name or just a clickbait article. Well, that's it from Muse. It is now time for the Aqua Ladies. Starting off with their lovely leader. Hanju and Nami had a solo live event in January, July, and December. She was part of the Tokyo 7 Sisters live event and the Nintendo Live. I didn't know Nintendo did a live event like this, but that's really cool. The Blu-ray release of her live Flyout was released in January, and she released a new EP, Millie Tendresses. Probably said that wrong. She had a couple of stage plays, but the main one you'd know is being in the Dorothy stage play, an adaptation of The Wizard of Oz. Seems like she's playing the Witch of the East, the Good Witch. Oh, and she was also Himiko Toga in a My Hero Academia stage play. Not sure if you've ever heard of that franchise, though. Joking aside, wow, look at her. She started her own fan club, Inami Town, and finally, Radio Curtain Call is still going strong. I think it's at like 217 episodes now. That's really awesome for her. But moving on to Kyon, she released her second photo book in April, titled Hikari, which means light and is my favorite Japanese name. She also had a photo book in collaboration with the fashion company Legenda. Legenda? I don't know how to pronounce it. She then had a tour called Sizigi, which is a crazy name. It sounds like a sauce to me, but apparently it's a real English word. You learn something new every day. The tour was around 12 shows and is also the name of her newest album. She was at the Aniura City Bash and the Nagano Aniura Festival. She had a dance video for her song Mirai Circle and a music video for Happy Infinite Birthday. But there was also her song Makoto Period, the ending for an anime called Love of Kill. And finally, she was included in the top 100 faces of the year. Ana Suzuki had herself a web calendar release for this year called I Dog Walk, which is a play on her fan club, I Catwalk. Also, this was actually only available for her fan club members. She had some anime roles this year, more than any other Aqua Lady, Mina in the new season of Tokyo Mew Mew, and Wuv Moonbeam Maid in Akiba Maid War. Great character name, but she also reprised her role in Jashin, singing the opening with Haruka. She was also a new ship in the Azure Lane game, IJN Sawaka. She had her second live tour at the end of April and throughout May. She was at Anisama performing solo with Haruka and with pop group Iris. That was already so awesome, but she was also at the Anisong Symphonic Night doing a duet with Asuka, singing the original Digimon opening. She also had a Yuki Yuna event featuring a bunch of other seiyuu that we know and love, and she was on Fuji TV in October. Next year, she will be in the second season of Nagatoro, singing the ending with some of the cast. Hinata at the beginning of the year had to isolate herself due to being in close contact to someone with COVID, though I don't think that she herself got the virus. Unfortunately, because of this, she was not able to appear at the Lisanni Festival. She reprised her Project Sakai role in their short-form series Petite Sakai, and though not her song, she was featured in the night tempo track Be With You. She had 2 EPs, Memories of Romance in Summer and Memories of Romance in Driving, which are actually both her covering some of her favorite songs. There is a bunch of music videos from these albums on her YouTube channel. Furry had herself a special live, Trip to the Star, and another special live, Trip to the Beach, as well as her third live tour, Love is High Tension, and she was at the Non-Fest Halloween event. Next year, she will be at Lisanni, hopefully, then her special live, Trip to Love, will be in February. Arisa Komiya had the new role of Koharu Hoen in Miss Kuruitsu from the Monster Development Department, and Koharu Kawasaki in the movie The Tunnel to Summer, The Exit of Goodbye. I won't usually mention franchise concerts since I cover that in the franchise portion, but in case you didn't already know, Komiya is part of the Denanbu and D4DJ franchises, and she was part of both of their live events this year. With D4DJ, her former group Scarlet Canary now merged with Lynx Eyes to become Call of Artemis. Aside from being at the Bandai Fest with Aqua, she was also there with Denanbu. Finally, she was featured in the music video for the song Where Is Love by Azabu, her Denanbu group. Kanako Takatsuki seems to be not affiliated with the Muse agency anymore. I don't remember seeing her tweet about it, but she stopped appearing in their YouTube videos and was completely removed from the little intro they do in every video. But on a more positive note, she returned to Aqua live performances in December of 2021 and released a new song, Before the Nightmare, which was the ending for Black Rock shooter Dawnfall. She was also featured in a Legend of Fashion magazine, like Aika was. She had an acoustic live, a fan meet, and was at a small handful of music events throughout the year, but honestly they aren't worth fully mentioning. Well, except for the Joy Sound Karaoke Max event and the Kyoto Premium Live. And something that was probably really good for her mental health, she took a trip over to Korea. Last thing for her, her other group, Bloody, held their last performance on March 18th, and all members except for Keen officially graduated. Next year, she will be starting over with new members and maybe even rebrand. Though I think Bloody is a great name and their style is actually amazing, so hopefully it's just new members. And she will also have a calendar book next year. Rikako Aida, my first Seiyuu crush. She had a live in May. She was a guest at the A&G All-Stars event, and she had a new music video for her song Adolescence. She had her third EP, Nostalgia, along with a live being called The Night Before Nostalgia. She voiced Ferna in Skeleton Knight in Another World, and she had a few Aquatope events with Miku, 3 or so throughout the year. She actually even attended Miku's live show called What a Sauce. Lynn was there too. She seems to have gotten COVID very recently at the end of November, and that really sucks. But to end on a high note, like with Anju, her Rod Rod Radio is still going strong. This year even having her favorite seiyuu, Eri Kitamura, as a guest. Shuka Shu had her first live concert where she debuted her new song, Hajimaru no Sign. Then had a whole tour of like 20 shows starting in April and ending in the beginning of December. As you're about to see, she was singing a lot in 2022. Good thing she's staying healthy, I hope. Shuka was part of the Lisanni Live and was a guest at Anisama for the first time as a solo act, a guest at the Sakura Music Fest 5th anniversary, and at the online live XR World Volume 1. Her third single, Ippai Attena, came out with a music video. Definitely watch it if you haven't. And if you have watched it, just watch it again. Her second photo book came out. She takes very good care of her body. Insert water joke here. She voiced a character in the console game Samurai Maidens, Miki Fukumoto in Akebi's sailor uniform. And now for some contradicting info here. On my anime list, it says she voiced a water spirit in a Chinese anime, which is called A Herbivorous Dragon of 5,000 Years Gets Unfairly Villainized. Great, so now the Chinese anime have stupid names too. But she also sang the opening for this, Bokura wa Genius. However, on her Twitter, which is arguably a more credible source, she said that this will start in January. So take that as you will, maybe it already aired in China or something. But she has a house tour lined up for next year, 3 locations in April. Our final Aqua member, Nanaka Suwa. First off, she released a photo book called Suwa Wonderland. Honestly, an absolutely amazing name. She was also in the Idol Busho franchise as Risa Umino, also doing a live performance with them. If you are unaware of this franchise, I suggest that you look into it. It is fairly new, they got held back because of COVID, but next year should be very eventful for them. She was also in management of Novice Alchemist as Kate Starvin, and she sang the ending theme as well. She released a new song called Fine Days, which had a music video for it. She was part of the Attena project with Kyan and Miku Ito, which seems to be a stage play of sorts, and they performed in October. She had her third live Give Me Final Motion, as well as a few fan club live events. She has a new mini album coming out for next year, and she will also be in the new season of Bofuri. So before we jump into Nijigasaki, just a little bonus Aqua member, Asami Tano, who is part of Saint Snow, yes, but that's the same generation as Aqua. Hinata Sato will be featured in the Bushiroad video, but for now, Asami. This was actually in late 2021, but she announced that she got married to actor Ryo Kitamura. She released her 20th anniversary photo book, 20 years in the industry, wow. She was at the Pretty Cure Metal Night event, and her group Franshushu had a virtual live. So last year around this time was her marriage announcement. Well, this year she announced that she gave birth. Congrats to her. Alright, time for Nijigasaki. Real quick, before I talk about each Niji girl individually, I have something about two of them. Not Cherry, which if you didn't already know is a non-franchise related group with Chiemi Tanaka and Natsumi Murakami, which was formed back in September of 2021. This year, they released 2 mini-albums, Candy Sunday and Now Loading. They had 2 showings of their first live, about a month apart, and I'm pretty sure they had a mini live as well. Now on to Niji's leader. Aguri, like many others, had a small hiatus. Hers was only for about 10 days in August. On a more positive note, she had 2 new singles, Jellyfish Nakimi-e, the opening for Don't Hurt Me, My Healer. She also voiced Carla and even sang the ending with the main cast. The show was actually a pretty big deal for her. Her other single was Hajimaru Welcome, the opening for Management of Novice Alchemist. Both singles have music videos as well. She voiced Beth in Black Summoner and Kotoha in Extreme Hearts. Her first live was in October with a second show in December, but also her first and second contact lives, which I guess are different from her first proper live. And she was at Anisama performing solo for the first time. Her alongside Kaori were guests at the Kitya Kyushu Pop Culture Festival, and she was also part of the Magia record event, Magia Day 2022. Aside from this, she was at the EJ My Girl Festival and something called the Peas Live, and Agupone had her second photo book release. Now on to Akari Kito. As you would expect from Niji's star pupil, she had a lot of anime roles. Almost 20 in fact, reprising her roles in shows like Demon Slayer, Mataten, Classroom of the Elite, and Shadow's House. But some new roles too, Toko in Akebi's sailor uniform, Evangeline in Birdie Wing Golf Girl's Story, Erika in a couple of Kakus, Retzel in Prima Doll, and Panda in the short series My Life After I Became a Dummy Head Mike One Morning. Really stupid name, but there's actually 2 more Niji girls in it, so next time I'll just call it Dummy Head Mike. There was her second album Illuminis, which had her song Esquisse that came out with a music video. She had a Zep tour in May and June, appearing at the Restage Prism 4th Live, and a couple of Pretty Derby events with Kaori. She had a live recording of Blend S, the first time these ladies have reunited in a long time. She was a guest at Anime Japan and had her Smiley Anniversary Volume 2, and a Blu-ray from her second live Mirrors from last December came out. She has around 13 roles ready for next year, with a bunch of them being new seasons, and instead of listing everything, I'll just show you 2 pictures. Her song Dear Those Days will be the ending theme for one of these shows, and will have a full music video. And she'll also be singing the ending with the main cast for one of these as well. Early in the year, Chiemi Tanaka transferred from Sigma 7 over to Stay Luck Agency, the same agency where Nana Kasuya is. She had 2 new anime roles, Miharu in Extreme Hearts, and Rika in 4 People Lie in Their Own Way, singing the opening with Not-Cherry and the ending with the main cast. She also very recently did a fashion collab with the brand LTA, and later on, Shu Uchida will do the same thing, and you'll hear me make a really stupid joke about it. Just know I recorded that way before I'm recording this one right here. Moving on to Hinaki Yano, she reprised her role in Pretty Derby, and having some live events with them as well. But she also had a Assault Lily live and a Selection Project event, and being with some of the Niji girls at Anime Japan. She was also at Anisama and Nylon Japan with Pretty Derby. She had her first live, Follow Me, and the Blu-ray for this is already out. That is also the name of her debut single that also has a music video. Finally for her, there's her EP, Teardrops, which was also the title of her second live tour. Kaori, like with Aguri, she had a bit of a sick leave in August. Hers was only for 8 days. A bunch of new roles, Lily in RPG Fudo-san, Momo in the short series Onipan, Caroline in Bibliophile Princess, and lead character Toka Kuroitsu in Miss Kuroitsu from the Monster Development Department. Aside from this, she released her first photo book. She has like the perfect combination of cuteness and beauty. Also a whole lot of gremlin going on too. She was at a bunch of Pretty Derby events this year, being at that Nylon event with them that I just mentioned in the Hinaki section. And Kaori debuted into Assault Lily, the stage version at least, and she had a fun little karaoke event with Farihata. She got herself a radio program. I think it's called Kaori Maida's Progress, though translations could just be messing with me like always. But it's got an Instagram page as well. Next year, she will debut into the second season of Miss Nagatoro, voicing Orihara, but also Sabine in Saving 80,000 Gold in Another World for My Retirement, singing the opening as well, which will mark her solo singer debut. And she's gonna have another lead, Lexia von Elseria in I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World and Became Unrivaled in the Real World too. Like, what do you even call this show when you say you're a fan of it? This is like literally 12 words for one anime title. Maria Sashide reprised her role in the Wataten movie and had new roles in Beast Tamer as Runa and in Aharensan as Futaba. She had a small handful of Wataten events with Akari, one of which being at Anime Japan. Everything else for her I've already mentioned, most of those just being Niji events, but also something from a different franchise that I will mention with the next girl. Mayu Sagara had 2 new anime roles, Kana in Teppen, and Ume in Dummy Head Mike. Aside from the Niji stuff, she was with some of the Teppen cast at Animax, and represented the group Smile Princess in 2 Pride of Orange lives and a mini live, also being with them at the Anime Carnival event. She was part of those pre-Para pre-Chan events that I mentioned with the Muse girls. Her and Mario were there. Actually, Miyutan was there too, but I'll be talking about her in a different video, since there's already so many ladies to cover in this one, so look out for Miyutan in the Iris Trisale recap. I'm not entirely sure if it was this year that she joined, but her alongside Nachan and Akari were on the Seiyuu Esports YouTube channel a lot this year, which is exactly what it sounds like, Seiyuu's Gaming. If you're having trouble finding the channel, just go to her Twitter and you'll find a post in her media section. Her last thing to mention is that her second photo book is coming out fairly soon. Oh, and I guess she crushed through Ring Fit Adventure this year, always posting her results on Twitter. She was on the grind for sure. Next year, Mayu will be voicing Mike Nekotani in My Life as Inokai-san's dog, singing the ending theme with the main cast. Natsumi had 2 new roles, Futaba in Slow Loop and Chiyo in 4 People Lie in Their Own Way, singing the opening with Nacheri and the ending with the main cast. She got COVID in early July, which made her the second main cast member of Love Live at the time to get it. Not sure just how many have had it now, probably around 5 or more at this point. But yeah, that's actually it for her. All the other events I've already talked about. Her year was basically just Niji, Nacheri, and Seiyuu Esports. Though I did see her at some small events like gaming things, probably with the esports group. She was a guest on one episode of Cookpad Live, and she was with Ayase Ito at some onsen radio talk show. It's stuff I usually wouldn't cover, but I just wanted to have her section a little bit longer. However, I do feel 2023 will be very eventful for her. Shu Uchida had no new roles aside from debuting into Niji's second season, but Shu did change agencies to the same one as Homan, and she started a fan club. I think it's called Shushu Fan Club. She was very active on her personal YouTube, lots of vlogs, some gaming stuff, and sometimes with Homan, and she even started building Gundam figures. So if you're into that, make sure you check out ShuTube. She had around 3 Kantai collection events, and the only other thing I can mention is her doing some modeling for the fashion company Libertine Age. I feel like I said that wrong. Libertine Age? Oh, I guess you could just call it LTA. Yeah, she had a fashion collab with LTA. Unfortunately, like with Nachan, that's it for her. But in Shu's case, she is still relatively new. So I'd expect another year or 2 before she really branches out. I could be wrong though, and I actually hope that I am. But for now, basically just Love Live and YouTube all year for her. So next is Akina Homoto. I definitely did not forget about her, and I'm definitely not recording this one after the video is already finished. Well, funny enough, she actually doesn't really have all that much to talk about. Like with Shu, she spent most of her year doing YouTube and Niji stuff. But she did attend some events as an audience member to show her support. Most notable being the Love Live musical and a Nacheri Live, also being a guest on Aina Aiba's horse racing show. So I saved Tomoe for last. She had a very eventful year. First, let's start off with anime roles. She reprised her character in the short-form series of Project Sakai. She was also Hanako Sato in Aharen-san, Rovi in Kirishima in Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, Lara in Tiger and Bunny Season 2, which I just finished recently. I loved it, and her character was great. She was also Hisame in To Your Eternity Season 2. These were all supporting casts, but she also had some leads as well, reprising her role in Move Luv Alternative and having a new role of Yoko in Bastard Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy. There's also Karasuba in Prima Doll, and the big one, Makima in Chainsaw Man. She had a new EP, Yarazunome, which also had a music video. She was a guest at Aniplex Online Fest, the Sakura Music Fest, and she had a Zep tour with a Blu-ray for it already coming out. She was also part of a Project Sakai Symphony event and a Tiger and Bunny reading event. Lastly, she had herself a birthday live tour very recently. I don't know what actually classifies as a tour, but it was 3 shows at 3 different venues. So I would say it was a tour, though it wasn't marketed as one. Next year, she has 7 anime roles lined up, but like with Akari, I'll just show you a photo. You'll notice the Niji spin-off there, and well, that's the last time we'll be hearing her as Setsuna, as she announced that she will retire from Nijigasaki on March 31st, 2023. So onto the Liella girls, don't expect too much from them this year or even next. It took the Aqua and Niji girls like 4 or 5 years to really branch out of Love Live, so you can probably expect the same with Liella. Also, like I said in the prior video, they did a lot of singing just with Liella alone, so they were very, very busy. In fact, I won't even be talking about the second gen girls since this was their debut year and this was their whole focus. The only thing I have to say about any of them is Aya Amori. She got herself a Nico program titled Amorio Cafe. As for the first gen girls, well, there is a little bit to go over with them, the first one actually being a fact about 3 of them. Sayuri, Liyuu, and Naomi were all involved in a car accident early in July. Luckily, it seemed to be a very minor accident, and 2 of the girls were fine, but Liyuu's injury was the most severe, taking the rest of the month to recover. They are all fine now, and I'm sure the pain was mostly emotional trauma rather than physical. But, speaking of Liyuu, her third single, True Fool Love, which also came with a music video, and it's the opening for More Than a Married Couple, But Not Lovers, where she also had an insert song in episode 7. She had her first album, For You. The way it's spelled is crazy. Her brand really emphasizes the U in all of her stuff. This was also the name of her first concert, which had a Blu-ray release. Aside from these, she had her digital single Reply, and she was featured on the song Lemonade by music producer Juvenile. Ali Chan was also a guest on the Anisong Days program, and then her first photo book came out, as well as a mini photo book with Young Jump. Finally, as always, she had some amazing cosplays. Shoutouts to Asuna from Sword Art Online. Next year, she will have a mini album titled Koi. Now on to Nagisa, not exactly confirmed for next year, but in the future she will be voicing Ciel in the anime Synduality. At the beginning of this year, she got herself a Nico program called Imo Kyokai. Nagi also did some modeling for the brand Over Excellent, multiple times. Based on the translations, it seems she's actually the brand ambassador, so she'll be continuing to model for them in the future. And she actually had 2 Young Jump photo books, the first one being My Best Girlfriend, and the second one being titled Was It So Beautiful? Nako Misaki, at the beginning of the year, she got COVID. Great. And well, there's actually not much about her. She had a photo book in early December called Nako no Tonori, which basically translates to My Neighbor Nako, probably a play on the Ghibli film, and it's her fan club name as well, which also opened up this year. Naomi Payton graduated from high school this year, which just sounds so weird to say out loud. I mean, like, wow, she was in high school during her whole first year of Love Live. That's pretty cool. And now that I think about it, that means Aya Amori is still in high school and will graduate next year. You gotta commend these girls for being in a massive franchise and still doing school stuff. But back to Pei-chan, she opened her fan club, Peyton Club, and started her Nico broadcast. I think it's called Club Create, where she even has some guests sometimes. The final lady of the video, Sayuri Date. She released a calendar book early in the year, and she also had her first photo book, the photos of which were taken in Okinawa, which was her first time visiting. She also started her own Nico program called 8 Noba, and her first guest was very recently, that being Yuki Nakashima. She was very heavily featured in the My Girl magazine Volume 34, and just like Shu and Chiami, Sayuri did a fashion collab with the LTA company. And finally, the most important thing there is, at the 7th Radio Awards, Sayuri won the Best Cute Radio Award. Who knows what the hell that means, but she is cute, one of the cutest in fact, and she does radio, so she deserves it. Good job, Sayuri-chan. Good job. So that was a whole lot of stuff. Hopefully I kept it nice and simple and I didn't miss anything too important. I'd really love some feedback. Definitely mention things that I missed so I can highlight it for others to see, and yeah, let me know if this was a good idea. If this does well, I will be doing it again next year, and I might go into more detail and mention even more things about the groups and girls. I also think it'll probably be a better idea to do this twice a year, half-year recap, one in June and one in December. The last thing to say is something I won't ask often, but if this is your first video of mine, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I have really big ambitions for the future of this channel, but I can't really get anything going until that sub count goes up. And with that, we've reached the ending. I hope you've enjoyed and learned something new. Please join me in the next one. I look forward to seeing you there.